Since 2002, our client business volume has more than doubled. Our revenue has tripled as well as our profit, and we have been able to achieve a gross margin improvement of 24 basis points. In the last 12 months, we have added 30% of new client-facing staff. As a result, we have acquired close to 500 new clients in the first half of the year, and we are aiming to have close to 1,000 for the year of 2006 alone. We are also very proud of our achievements in Japan, Korea, and in our biggest market, Hong Kong.
Private Wealth Management launched its first Croquis product in August 2004. Croquis is a success story because it brought the best intellectual capital of Deutsche Bank in an investable format. It has delivered a consistent outperformance, a robust after-sales service, and more importantly, it has delivered a consistent revenue generation for both global markets and private wealth management. The Croquis story is a live example of the profitable and powerful relationship and partnership that exists today between global market and private wealth management.
Well, private clients in the 80s and 90s had a great time. They made really lots of money. Whether they invested in stocks or bonds, everything went up. Then the crash came and nobody had an answer to that. We created a global investment committee with a clear strategic view on markets, on many asset classes. We have a state-of-the-art investment process now. We include all the different parts of the bank in the strategy discussions, and we source most of our products from the investment bank or Deutsche Asset Management very successfully. And this is a very consistent process, and at the end, one thing has changed. Our clients are happy again.
In terms of an attractive market, we've seen significant growth over the past 10 years with a combined annual growth rate of just under 10% in terms of wealth. And this growth is anticipated to continue at 6% annualized moving forward. So it's an attractive market. And it's not a cyclical market. The U.S. has driven a lot of growth that we've seen over the past few years. And we've also seen a convergence of offerings across brokerage, full-service private banking, and premier banking services. What we've seen over the past few years is that growth is being driven by the emerging markets and BRIC nations. Research shows that the primary source of wealth globally is ownership of business. So these individuals tend to look at their business assets and their personal assets in one pool. So when you come to events such as a trade offering or an IPO, the ability of a service provider to help these individuals both through the IPO and then what to do with the ensuing stock profits is certainly a differentiator. So if you were to summarize what the critical success factors would be in this market based on the market statistics, you would be looking at a holistic wealth management strategy that is global. You would be looking at integration of private banking, corporate banking, and investment banking services.
We have been the #1 importer in the BMW organization for 13 or 14 years consecutively until today. BMW is a global firm, yeah, and we also carry other top-of-the-range brand like Porsche, and therefore international bankers are important to us. Especially in regard to facilities, financing. Because of our very long-term association with German companies, of course, it was in my father's interest to also open up accounts with a German bank. We are talking about a relationship of at least 30, 35 years, if not longer. And because of this long-term relationship, and also because of course, Deutsche Bank's professionalism, we are very, very satisfied with the services provided to us. Therefore, even up to now, Deutsche Bank remains to be our biggest banker among the bankers that we bank with. Private wealth is customers would look for different approaches First of all, everything should be discreet and professional. And we have encountered over time some other bankers who are pressing for business, and occasionally you would feel that they would only press for more business in their own interest. In this case, I like to mention our manager's name being David Lim, and actually who started the account with my father for a very long time. And he has been doing his job all along in a very professional way. So we feel we are in good hands, so to speak, very comfortable. Yeah. We all have a very big amount of trust in him. So I think even he can continue his business with my son.
One of the reasons why I enjoy working with Deutsche Bank is there's very little traditional about their wealth management business. I think it's one bank that has certainly broken the mold and has been able to meet the client's aspirations in terms of the different products and offering. I have had private banking relationships in my past, and quite a few of them, but never did I come across the situation where the private bank started the pivotal role of opening us out to other areas of the bank. We have about 30 private equity firms operating in the Middle East, and it has become one of the most important growth industries in this part of the world. Today we are by far and away the largest private equity business in our part of the world. Over the course of this summer, we've also metamorphosized ourselves. Abraj Capital raised its capital. We're now at $1 billion. Deutsche Bank is a participant in that process, and we're delighted to have them. In comparison with its peer group, Deutsche Bank is certainly one of the best banks in the world. There's no question about it. I think what marks it out is this performance culture. And I think that the performance culture permeates across the organization. And that's where I feel that Deutsche is going to make the difference in terms of its commitment all the way from the top, and in terms of its ability to execute all the way from the bottom upwards.
I think that Deutsche Bank has been able to capture his attention, has been able to capture his imagination because of the fact that we are interested in delivering the institution as a whole, as opposed to just providing him one service for one aspect of his life. We as private wealth managers, we deal with the principals. We deal with the man who owns the assets, the man who has created the assets. We deal with his wife, we deal with his children. We have an insight into the most, sometimes very private knowledge that is building up, behind his businesses. It's a very intimate relationship of trust. It's a relationship that matures over time, and it takes time to build those relationships.
When I took the stake over into credit trading, I also sat on the board of Abraj Capital and became a board member there. And that allowed for a very good and open personal relationship to build up with the rest of the board members, which is a collection of some of the most reputed businessmen and individuals in the region, as well as with Arif Naqvi, who is the principal behind the Abraj Capital. In many parts of the world, particularly in Asia and the Near East, you have a lot of new entrepreneurs who are coming up. These are new wealth which has been created, driven by the dynamic growth in this region. Now, the private banking services these people need is just not wealth management, because they are still at the phase in their lives where they are hungry to create wealth. And that's where the interaction with corporate investment banking, with global markets becomes very beneficial.